Hey, this is Jeff again, the Valhalla Ventures, ReiguideService.com, REIGUIDEService.com. I want to make a real quick video. Of course, we won't even address the giant pile of trash in the front yard. It makes it impossible to go over, or the Adobe-style Grand Canyon ladder that they have built there to get into the second story. Let's just talk about the overall build on a property like this. Now, I might mention a couple of things that you're definitely going to see while I'm going through this, but my intent is not to point out everything in this video, but to give you an overall idea of my philosophy when doing inspections on properties like this. The thing is not to achieve perfection. You cannot get a 10 out of 10 house. It's just not possible. There's too many variables. And if you want to spend that kind of money, a lot of times it's just silly, because close enough to perfection sometimes works. Sometimes it doesn't work. And my job as an inspector is to just walk through a property, to look for any issues that I see, to address any issues I see in writing, make sure that there's always an empty Modelo on job site. If there's not, you're probably going to get a crappy house. But to go through and document all this stuff so that you can make the decision as the person that's making the money, the investor in this property, whether it's a property that's going to be an asset or a liability for you. I mean, depends. You can see studs that are broken, and I can say, hey, look at this. This is a broken stud. It doesn't seem to be dealing with anything structural. It doesn't seem like it could be a fail point, but I want to show it to you. That's just my opinion. You might want to have an engineer look at it if you feel like my opinion isn't good enough. My job is to go through and to point out things like mold on studs and explain to you why that would be there and if you need to have it cleaned and what you can do in case you're worried about it. My job is just to point things out and give you information so that you, as the investor, as the property owner, can say, okay, well, why is this window broken? And I can say, well, they just had a hurricane. And those are windows that are hard to access. So more than likely, they put those windows up when they just put a bunch of the windows up at the same height. I can address stuff like this glue lamb or this width here, if this is making you uncomfortable, or the fact that the glue lamb seems to end with its structural support far before where it needs to. These things may or may not be an issue, but the point is we're going to look at these things together as a team, as people that are trying to reach the best possible income. And it's not me and you versus the builder. It's the builder, it's the inspector, and it's the property owner, right? It's the person having this property built. Everybody should be working as a team to get the best end result, because that's what everybody should be wanting. I'm not there to beat up the builder. I'm there to say, hey man, look, here's some issues. You now go take that to your builder and decide whether or not you want to make it a bigger issue. Maybe you don't like the fact that that stud back there was broken. Maybe you don't like the fact that these shower pans sat for so long with water and then they got mold and you want them changed out. Hey, that's an argument you can make, because do I think that that's reasonable? Doesn't really matter if I think it's reasonable or not. This is your property. I'm going to give you my advice that I wouldn't do it, that I don't think that I've seen of anybody doing that before. I don't think that that's a successful argument that you could ever make in court. Right, because that's really what it comes down to, is if you demand it and they refuse and you say it's reasonable and they say it's unreasonable, then ultimately that's where it goes, is court, and we're trying to avoid that, right? And then there's situations where I come up and I see flooring that's been sitting in its OSB, just warping and absorbing water. And look, I mean, would I be okay with this in my home? Absolutely not. 100% no. Is it okay for someone else? I don't know. I'm not someone else. Other people's standards aren't my standards. My job is to document, give my opinion, and pass on. But we can't expect a perfect house. There is no such thing. Yeah, not for a reasonable price, right? Things happen. Materials suck. Sometimes weather is just not cooperating with you. So you try to do the best that you can, get the best end product that you can, so that you can have the best experience with the least amount of investment into this deal over and over again. But I think that the best standard is to look, walk through it, check things out, ask questions with an inspector, without an inspector, custom builder, neighborhood build, whatever it is. Take the time to really go through and look and see and ask questions and learn about what it is that you're getting for what you're paying for. Be blessed. Bless others. ReiguideService.com.